Welcome to What's on the Ballot. In this episode, we're covering Question 1, Motor Vehicle Mechanical Data. This is a question on the ballot for the upcoming Massachusetts state election on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. In your 2020 Statewide Ballot Questions booklet, you'll find a summary of this proposed law as well as the full text of the question. Also in that booklet is what your vote will do. The following is written jointly by the State Attorney General and the Secretary of the Commonwealth. A yes vote would provide motor vehicle owners and independent repair facilities with expanded access to wirelessly transmitted mechanical data related to their vehicle's maintenance and repair. A no vote would make no change in the law governing access to vehicles' wirelessly transmitted mechanical data. There's also a statement of fiscal consequences, written by the Executive Office of Administration and Finance. This states that the proposed law has no discernible material fiscal consequences for state and municipal government finances. Also in that informational booklet are short arguments in favor and against the proposed law. Representatives from each of the coalitions who made these arguments were interviewed by Medfield TV's Executive Director, Brett POIRIER. To start off, we have short statements from each coalition regarding their perspectives on Question 1.
Voting no is not going to stop the collection of this information. Car manufacturers are going to continue to collect wireless real-time diagnostic and repair information from your car. What it comes down to is voting yes empowers you to get direct access to that information. It allows you to be the gatekeeper and you to choose where that information goes. We do believe as a coalition that if you bought the car, you should get all the information necessary to fix it. So we want to inform consumers. We want consumers to be in the driver's seat, so to say, about their repair information. Protecting the local jobs, the 40,000 jobs here in Massachusetts is great. But at the end of the day, we know consumers want choice. They want convenience. And by voting on this, you will be updating a law that you already voted for in 2012 at 86%. Because as cars evolves, owners should evolve and make sure they get all the information necessary to fix their car.
Voters should vote no on Question 1 because we already have right to repair in Massachusetts, and it's not going to change no matter what happens with Question 1. The only thing that will change is that more third parties will have access to your information and be able to sell to you and sell information about you. That's what Question 1 is. It's a data grab by national auto parts suppliers. That's why they've spent $21 million in Massachusetts to pass Question 1. It's not about repair, and the benefit to consumers will be extremely limited if it exists at all.
The following is the full interview with Tommy Hickey, Director of the Massachusetts Right to Repair Coalition, speaking in favor of Question 1.
Tommy, do you want to introduce yourself to our viewers and then let them know what Question 1 is all about?
Sure. My name is Tommy Hickey. I am the Director of the Right to Repair Coalition. We are a coalition of over 1,600 independent repair shops here in Massachusetts, and we represent the 40,000 jobs here in Massachusetts in the aftermarket. We are the same coalition that was behind the 2012 Right to Repair law. We passed that ballot initiative at 86%. It is the highest passing ballot initiative in Massachusetts history. And what it did was create a level playing field for the repair market. What it really did was mandate that car manufacturers give the same diagnostic or repair information to independent repair shops that they were giving to their franchise dealers. What was happening is that independent repair shops weren't getting all the information necessary to fix these vehicles, so they were forced to send the car to the dealership. As we know, dealerships are about 30% more expensive than independent repair shops, so the consumer was having to pay more, and local businesses were starting to go under as they were having to lose this business to the dealership. So we passed that law. We're the first in the nation to pass that law here in Massachusetts at 86%. But technology has evolved, right? Not just in a car, but everything. But your car is now a computer on wheels. There was a carve-out in the 2013 law for a wireless communication system called telematics. And telematics is like real-time health of your car. There are now sensors all over your vehicle that can tell you when a part's about to break down, wear and tear, when a problem is going to arise, and can do it wirelessly in real time. So right now, that's carved out of the law, and car manufacturers are collecting this information and all this wireless information that the independent repair and the owner cannot get. So as we move, this year in 2020, 90% of new cars will have these vehicles, and it will only get increasingly more comprehensive. So what this ballot initiative does would close that loophole, mandating that car manufacturers give owners direct access to all their diagnostic repair information. And with their authorization, owner authorization, they can share that diagnostic repair information with an independent repair or a dealer of their choice. I think it's important to realize that technology is moving, but we need independent owners to evolve with the car. Voting no on this is not going to stop this technology. Car manufacturers have a monetary interest in controlling this information, sharing it with their dealership, maximizing their profits, forcing you into manufacturer-approved shops. And that will continue if people were to vote no on this. Voting yes just mandates that you, as the owner, become the gatekeeper of this information, because we believe as a coalition, if you bought the car, you should get all the information necessary to fix it.
That's awesome. I wanted to actually point something out, because I've been hearing this a lot, is people are afraid because of the wording. It says standardized open access data platform. People have the misunderstanding that this is something that anyone has access to, and that's not the case.
That is not the case. I've seen their advertisements too. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into that, but they've said that this will be one giant platform where everyone will go get their own information. It's not true. I think the best way to do is, like, right now I have a Santander Bank on my app on my phone, and I have a username, I have a password, and I only get my banking information, even though someone else has a Santander mobile app. I mean, that's what we're moving into that world. So all this information would be accessible through a mobile app that would be protected just like a bank information is protected. And it's only the owner's information. Again, it's just diagnostic and repair information. Right now, you go into a shop, your independent repair plugs into an OBD port. That OBD port is on the way out. It's now becoming wireless. And we need to make sure that when these cars move into electric cars don't even have OBD ports. In fact, there's Tesla cars driving around now that don't even have OBD ports right now today. So we need to make sure that independent repair can fix your car going into the future. Otherwise, you'll be forced into a dealership.
Now, one of the things that I was kind of thinking about is this isn't taking place until 2022. So if there's a yes vote, it's 2022 cars and models that we're talking about. If you have a car now today, is that going to have to get equipped with something, or are we only talking about model cars 2022 and beyond?
So I think the market would have to figure that out. I mean, car manufacturers are all in different places when it comes to telematics in terms of what their capabilities are, and how much information is being generated and how that system has kind of been worked out. It would start right now is model year 2022. I imagine that there could be some kind of retrofit that could go on, but for right now, we're really looking at model year 2022 as these cars will be fully equipped with telematics moving forward.
And as you said, it's very similar to a banking app. You know, I have a Citizens Bank one. I love it. I use it all the time. It's secure. It's safe. It's something that I can look at. I get my information that I'm looking for very easily. It's not like people are hacking those all the time. So I feel like that is something that I'm comfortable with. Are you basically, are we saying that everyone from a model 2022 on will have to have some form of smartphone or something that is going to have an app that they can access this information from? Or are car manufacturers or independent repair shops, will they have an app that you can access that information from?
So for the mobile app part of this, you don't need to have a cell phone for this. Obviously you will have it. It's just like kind of like a bank. You can go online and work it out that way. But I also see this being on the dashboard. All of these new cars, especially model year 2022s, will have a dashboard with an application process and your diagnostics and repair information. When it comes to the app, we want an open market for this. Competition, we know, drives down prices, and people should be able to choose. So there's going to be no app creation before a framework. So this ballot initiative really calls on a framework. We need open and standardized platform capable of securely and safely giving the owner their diagnostic repair information. And now that you pass something like this, and then a market comes out where people will get to look at apps, and I'm sure Mercedes and Jaguar, they'll all have their apps, and they'll have discounts to go to the dealership, etc. But people need that choice. Without the aftermarket, without choice, you'll be forced into the dealership. But I do see this as a competitive market for this application, and who does what is still unknown.
And obviously one of the biggest questions is going to be what information is actually being shared. So this would be, is location being shared? Is the speed or, my car's information of what was being, what I was doing while I was driving? Like, how much information is actually going to be shared via this app?
So for this app, for this ballot initiative, for this language, this is just mechanical information necessary to diagnose, maintain, and repair the car, as it says in the Attorney General summary and in the language of our ballot. In terms of what's being collected and who's doing what with it, you would have to ask the car manufacturers. I mean, they're the ones that have this information. It's pretty public that they're, linking up with insurance companies, et cetera. But for the purpose of this language, this would just get you as the car owner all your diagnostic repair information that your independent repair is currently getting by plugging into the OBD port.
And the thing that you've already said is that car manufacturers are already doing this. This isn't something that is brand new. I think that the idea that your information on your car is a brand new concept, but it's not. This is something car manufacturers are already doing. We're just writing a question that's going to give us access to that information as well.
Yeah, and then choose where that repair information goes. Right now, it only goes to franchise dealers. It only goes to whoever maximizes their profits. But going into the future, we're going to have software updates for cars. It won't be, a guy with a wrench underneath the hood of a car. You look at Tesla and Ford just recently came out with a memo saying they're going to start doing all over the internet fixes on these cars that are under warranty. And then what happens when you're out of warranty? Only one entity is able to do that repair, to do that update. And so we need to make sure that there's there's a competitive market for that. Otherwise, you'll be forced into one dealership.
Now, who is, who's behind the bill? Because that's always one of the things is like, why did this question come up? Why was this something that was brought up? Are mechanics already seeing this as a problem today?
Yeah, there's definitely problems right now in some of these 2019, 2020 models that have, a lot of wireless communications going on. For example, car manufacturers, we call it security through obscurity. They're putting up firewalls over the OBD ports. That's a wireless firewall. That's carved out of the 2013 right to repair law. It'd be like, you have to, I'm mandated to give you my laptop, but I'm not mandated to give you the password to get into my laptop. And that's really what we're seeing, is that car manufacturers always want independent repair shops to be at the mercy of them, to call them and ask for a code here and ask for that. And we're saying with this ballot initiative, listen, the car owner should dictate who gets their repair and diagnostic information. But we are absolutely AutoZone. We are definitely O'Reilly Parts. We are definitely the major part companies, but we're also 1,600 independent repair shops. And keep in mind, AutoZone has thousands of employees here. O'Reilly has thousands of employees here, hundreds of shops here, and 40,000 jobs on the line. The aftermarket is we see this as a collective aftermarket initiative, because we believe that the aftermarket controls pricing for the market. Without an aftermarket, the market can charge whatever they want. So not just the independent repair shops with the 40,000 jobs are the ones that are on the line here, if the car manufacturer is the only entity that have access to this.
Now, I want you to respond to one of the comments that we know is already coming up. It's actually written in the ballot question itself. They're concerned about the information being accessed by people who are looking to cause harm or harassment to people who own these vehicles. Is that a worry for you? And what's your response to that?
No, I think the car manufacturers have resorted to scare tactics. They want to confuse voters. They want to scare voters into voting no. I'm sure you've seen their advertisements, and they're egregious. They're dishonest. They're just disingenuous. They even used a group called the Jane Doe Organization for domestic violence, against domestic violence, without Jane Doe's permission. They had convinced this Jane Doe group that this was about GPS information and geolocation, which it's not. And the proof is in the pudding. This is about diagnostic information, repair information. Jane Doe has since taken back their stance, their opposition, and evolved to see what this really is, which is an update to an already passed law for 86% to make sure that owners can get their cars fixed where they want. I think the car manufacturers have just resorted to trying to confuse and scare people, but understand this is not about GPS information. This is not about personal information. And there have been a number of cybersecurity experts that have echoed that sentiment. This can be done in a safe and secure way. The Security Ledger is a good example. Some of the biggest cybersecurity experts here in Massachusetts. Ed Davis, former Boston Police Commissioner. Bruce Schneier teaches cybersecurity at MIT. I mean, the list goes on and on in terms of cybersecurity experts saying this can be done in a safe and secure way. And it goes back to what we already talked about. They're already doing it. Now we want to make sure that the owner becomes the gatekeeper of that information.
Now, is there any information regarding question one that you would like voters in Medfield to know? This isn't just going out to Medfield. We'll end up sharing this across all other access stations as well. But what's the best information that you can give them? What's the reassurance that a yes vote is the right vote?
I would reiterate to voters that voting no is not going to stop the collection of this information. Car manufacturers are going to continue to collect wireless real-time diagnostic and repair information from your car. What it comes down to is voting yes empowers you to get direct access to that information. It allows you to be the gatekeeper and you to choose where that information goes. We do believe as a coalition that if you bought the car, you should get all the information necessary to fix it. So we want to inform consumers. We want consumers to be in the driver's seat, so to say, about their repair information. Protecting the local jobs, the 40,000 jobs here in Massachusetts is great. But at the end of the day, we know consumers want choice. They want convenience. And by voting on this, you will be updating a law that you already voted for in 2012 at 86%. Because as cars evolves, owners should evolve and make sure they get all the information necessary to fix their car.
Well, Tommy, thank you so much for joining us on Medfield TV. We appreciate all the information you give us. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
More information about the Massachusetts Right to Repair Coalition can be found online at massrighttorepair.org. Next up, we have the full interview with Conor Yunits, a spokesperson from the Coalition for Safe and Secure Data, speaking in opposition to question 1.
Conor Yunits, you're with the Coalition for Safe and Secure Data. Can you tell us a little bit about your coalition and what you guys are looking to do?
Absolutely. The Coalition for Safe and Secure Data was set up last year, 2019. It's funded by automakers, and our focus is on defeating question 1 because it is not necessary and it raises unnecessary risks for consumers.
All right, so tell me about question 1. What is the basic details? What is question 1 proposing? Absolutely.
So question 1 is about vehicle data. So as most people probably remember, we had right to repair in Massachusetts. That is the law. It was passed. It's funny, people remember the ballot question. The ballot question that passed in 2012 is not actually the law in Massachusetts. It's actually a bill that the legislature passed in 2013 and that Governor Patrick signed. And it ensures that every mechanic and every local mechanic has the ability to get all the information they need to diagnose and repair a car, and ensures that consumers can take their cars wherever they want. It worked so well and was so effective that it has been adopted across the country. It's actually, Massachusetts is still the only state in the country that has this right to repair law on the books. But there's a national agreement among automakers and the repair side to apply it to all 50 states, called an MOU. So it works, and it works very well.
Now, why are you urging a no vote on question 1?
Question 1, whether or not it passes, would do very little to change repair in Massachusetts or the consumer experience. Question 1 deals with a very small slice of vehicle data called telematics, which is wireless data that's transferred off your vehicle. It's mostly used for things like safety systems, lane assist, airbag notification, turn-by-turn navigation, GPS. Things like that are currently transmitted to manufacturer secure servers and primarily used to improve safety systems. If in the unlikely event that information was necessary to diagnose and repair a vehicle, that is covered under the existing law. And it says that if there's any information that's only available via telematics, it's necessary to diagnose and repair a car, and it's provided to dealer repair shops, it must also be made available to local repair shops. So there really is no loophole. There is no issue here. And frankly, this entire effort is driven by national auto parts chains like AutoZone and O'Reilly, who have spent $21 million in Massachusetts to pass this question because they want access to consumer data.
Now, what is the data that they're trying to get, access to, and if it's something that's already being done, there's already cars that are coming out with this data. Why is this question then a problem going forward?
Sure. So right now, you bring your car into the shop, you plug into the port, and the mechanic can get all the information they need to diagnose and repair. What they can't get is wireless access to the vehicle when you're driving down the road, particularly around things like real-time GPS data. So these auto parts companies, these O'Reillys and Nappas, they want 2 things. Number 1, they want as much information as they can get on vehicle parts. And it should be noted that question 1 also expands the definition of mechanical data to anything quote unquote related to diagnosis and repair, because those AutoZones and those O'Reillys, they want more information than they're presently entitled to. But second, it also allows for real-time GPS location data. Now, the yes side will say, nope, we don't want that. It's with just mechanical data. But The Auto Care Association, which is funded by AutoZone and all these companies, the organization that wrote question one, they've been going around the country showing everybody what they want the end result of question one to be. And the app that they show has a map, it has location data, it has behavioral data. So judge them not by what they say on the campaign trail, judge them by what they're telling their consumers around the country.
Now, what are they going to do with that information? What is AutoZone and O'Reilly? What are they looking to do with this information once they gather it?
Yeah, they want to be able to sell more parts to consumers, and they want to be able to sell advertising to consumers. Look, when people say this is an issue about competition, they're not wrong, but it's not an issue about competition between local repair shops and auto manufacturers. Auto manufacturers don't compete with local repair shops. This is an issue about these big national parts chains that want access to information so that they can improve their bottom lines.
Now, one of the things I did want to address, because it is in the ballots, the questionnaires that we all get,
Yep.
Is there's the quote about the sexual assaults, that people are worried about that. Jane Doe Inc. did come out with a statement as well. Are you familiar with the statement that Jane Doe came out with as well? Do you have anything to talk about that? They kind of came out and said that they were used in the question without permission, and then they also stated that they found that sexual assaults are not in that this isn't going to be a problem going forward with a yes vote. So
that the quote in the Red Book is a direct quote from testimony that Jane Doe submitted in January at a legislative hearing. So that was public testimony. We quoted from it. We apologize for any misunderstanding that there may have been, but that was publicly submitted. And one thing I do want to clarify is that some people have said, well, they weren't testifying about this question. Well, that testimony was directly related to this question. So I just want to clarify that point. That's why we quoted from it, and I'll kind of leave it at that. But I will say that the only other time a bill like this has been proposed was in California in 2014, and that was defeated largely because of opposition from domestic violence and sexual assault prevention groups.
Yeah, and Jane Doe did say that they felt like this made some necessary changes to that issue, and so that this bill is, I don't know what the changes were done, but they said that there's a slight change that gives that access. But I agree that, if it was in a public hearing, it seems like it was a quote that is usable. I mean, just like anyone would use a quote for a selectman or anyone who's in a public hearing, you can use those quotes, I feel like, but
yeah,
totally understood. Going forward, we have talked to the yes side on this question, and we did the same thing. We kind of had them respond to some of the things that you guys have put out, and I'm going to have you respond to a couple of things here. So they compared having this information as having an app is equivalent and as secure as having your banking data on your phone or on an app. Is that something that you feel is an equivalent comparison, that if banks are doing this, then why isn't car manufacturers doing this?
Yeah, no, I love when they use that comparison, because when you're talking about a bank, right, the bank has a vested interest in protecting that information and protecting their customers, making sure that data is not hacked, right? Make sure that app is protected as possible. Question one explicitly prevents automakers from playing that same role. So it explicitly prevents automakers from being in charge of who's accessing that information through the app. So if they're not in charge of their own customer safety, they have no idea if it's protected. All it says is that this will be governed by an independent entity. It doesn't say anything about who that entity is. It doesn't say who's building the app, who's maintaining the app, or who's securing the app. So I love when they use that comparison, because it makes no sense. Banks are the ones with a vested interest in protecting their consumer data, and question one would remove automakers from that role.
And one of the things we did say with question one, when I was talking to their representative, was that they said that the apps are going to be developed in kind of an open source type of way, that they expect that car manufacturers will do it, but also you could download an app from anyone who could have access to that. So is there a concern that those people may not be as secure as others? Is that kind of the idea there?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest, that's the first time I've heard them say that. And I think that gets to what we've been saying all along, is that the unknowns in this create a tremendous amount of risk. I mean, the idea of just allowing any app developer to create a platform that can access the vehicle systems in any of these cars is ludicrous. I mean, that's opening even more than we've been talking about, opening a gateway into computer systems that is unsafe. I mean, our biggest problem with the app, frankly, is number one, it doesn't say who's building it. So if it's going to be just any random third party, then I I guess that's what the other side wants. But two, it says that it must apply to model year 2022 cars. Now, those cars can start being sold in January of next year. The idea that we're going to somehow have a safe and secure application that can connect with every make and model of vehicle in Massachusetts beginning next year, I mean, when it hasn't even been started yet, it just doesn't even make sense. We're doing this on Zoom. How long has Zoom been around? And Zoom still has security issues that we're all familiar with. I mean, the idea of creating a safe app that is not accessible to hackers or anyone else with malicious intent is nonsense to us.
The other statement that they had was that car manufacturers are already taking this information. That, like you said, the cars 2022, they said that there's already this information is being downloaded. It's already wireless. This is just simply giving you access to it through an app. What do you guys have to say about that?
To the extent, now every manufacturer is different. Every make and model of car is different every year. Most importantly, every year of car is different, right? I drive a 2014, I think, 2012. I don't have telematics data on my car. So there's that. But the level of information varies by company, and many companies are already sharing this information with consumers and letting them make the choices that the yes side wants, but with the heavy caveat that they're doing it through a secure system, that the data is anonymized, it goes through secure company servers, it has direct access to individual vehicles, all of which would happen under question 1, and all of which is why we have so many security concerns.
All right, and so last question that I have for you is just simply, why should voters vote no on question 1?
Voters should vote no on question 1 because we already have right to repair in Massachusetts, and it's not going to change no matter what happens with question 1. The only thing that will change is that more third parties will have access to your information and be able to sell to you and sell information about you. That's what question 1 is. It's a data grab by national auto parts suppliers. That's why they've spent $21 million in Massachusetts to pass question 1. It's not about repair, and the benefit to consumers will be extremely limited if it exists at all.
Conor, thank you so much for joining us today. This is fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
More information from the Coalition for Safe and Secure Data can be found online at safeandsecuredata.org. Be sure to read your 2020 Statewide Ballot Questions booklet for the full information regarding question 1. The PDF version is also available online on the Secretary of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts website under the Elections and Voting section. Election Day is November 3rd. Early voting in Massachusetts is October 17th through the 30th. You can request a mail-in ballot through October 28th, but the U.S. Postal Service recommends you do so by October 20th. More information on voting specifically in Medfield can be found under the Town Clerk's page on the town website, town.medfield.net. There are multiple ways to vote, so make sure you do so if you're eligible. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of What's on the Ballot, brought to you by Medfield TV.